Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA. Decision time is soon. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also stake your ADA with the ITC stake pool, which you can find a link to in the description below. We also do have the sale on the premium list running through April 17th at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, Cardano is one of these projects we've been following for a long time. And one of the things that I mentioned a year ago, in fact, more than a year ago, if you go back and watch some of the videos on ADA that we did in January and February of 2021, I said, if we are going to emulate what other cryptocurrencies have done in the past, after an explosive move where the valuation of a project goes up approximately 100x, you should expect, best case scenario, that the asset would go sideways for a while. Best case scenario. The reason we say that is because a lot of times if an asset goes up 100x, you're going to have a lot of selling pressure, okay? I mean, I know a lot of people like ADA and you know, you're happy to DCA ADA and whatnot, and we all want to see it ultimately trend higher, but you have to also understand there are a lot of people that bought ADA at prices lower than you are probably buying them, and they like taking profits, okay? It's just the nature of the game, all right? So you have to understand when an asset goes up 100x, it generally will go sideways for a while, best case scenario, in order to adjust to the new normal, okay? One of the things we've said before is that after putting in a lower low, ADA would likely go back up to the $1.20 range. Why? Well, I mean, the $1.20 area is where ADA has spent a lot of its time. You draw a line, you just sort of, I mean, the price is 120 right now, so you can see the dashed green line. We spent a lot of time around that 120 area. We also spent a lot of time there in February, in March, in April, and in May of 2021. We came back down to that level in the summer lull. We came back down to that level in December and January. And then we put in a new low, a new local low, I should say. Which brings me to my next point. One of the things that we talked about a year ago, again, is that an asset can go sideways for a year after an explosive move. Doesn't mean anything other than the market is adjusting to the new normal. Okay, that's what it can mean. It doesn't necessarily need to mean anything more complicated than that. Now, one of the interesting things about this market structure is that we've seen this market structure before. Not with ADA, but with Ethereum, okay? And listen, I know there's a lot of, cult-like things that form from one cryptocurrency to another. Like, I don't want any of that. I'm just here to talk about various cryptocurrencies. I want people to invest responsibly, understand the risks involved. That's it, okay? Now, where have we seen this type of structure before? You should know, right? It's with Ethereum in 2016. What did Ethereum do in 2016? And we've been talking about it forever. Just draw a line at the bottom of the range, draw a line at the first top, okay, right here. What do you see? A high, back to the bottom of the range is B. A higher high, sort of like another weak move to the upside, D. Really, we should probably call this one D, where it came back down and we tested the bull market support, and we had a wick down. I'm not sure how liquid that was. E, okay, and then what? Oh man, the painful bleed down, right? F. After F came G, where we go back up to the bull market support band and go sideways for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then we get blast off. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H is the final breakout. So we've seen this market structure before, right? We've seen it before. If you don't believe me, just look at ADA, right? You can see the move to the upside, A, back down to the bottom of the range is B. Go look at it, right? New all-time high is C. Back down to the bull market support band is D. You could argue that this wick back up was E. I mean, it's certainly not a perfect match, but right, you go back down to the bull market support band, which is what we did with Ethereum. Then a sort of a move back up to the top. We had the wick. I mean, it's there. It's not as strong, but it's there. E, the long bleed down. F, where you put in a new low. Did Ethereum put in a new low? Yes, it did. We had this year-long range. Ethereum put in a new low. And I'll tell you again, I've said this before. I mean, I know we're doing this video on Cardano, but you can learn lessons from other cryptocurrencies. I'll tell you, I mean, When I experienced this, I thought ETH was going down. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm not gonna say that I knew it was going. I knew Ethereum was about to go from $6 to $1,400. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I mean, if you told me it was about to go to $1,400, I would have probably had some choice words for you because it just wouldn't have made sense. You would have been labeled a moon boy probably. So it's something to consider, right? So what is G? I mean, it's basically it's the impulsive move off the bottom, off the local low, off the new low, in fact, back up to the bull market support band, where that first impulsive move got Ethereum to around 1150. But then and that was in early January, but it still took it until mid-February to break out beyond that. So you're looking at about 6 weeks. How does that compare to ADA? Again, it put in a new low. Where did it go? It went right to the same thing, right to the bull market support band, right to that 20-week SMA, that 21-week EMA, just like Ethereum did. So why are we saying decision time soon? Well, first of all, there's no guarantees, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that anything has to happen in the asset class because we know that's not true. I would argue that everything is ultimately tied to Bitcoin and what Bitcoin is doing. Fortunately for us, right now, Bitcoin is at least above its bull market support band. So we have that going for us, which is nice. Again, if you go look at Bitcoin and you go to where it currently is, at least we're above it, right? That's a point. I mean, even if you don't hold Bitcoin as an ADA holder, you should track what Bitcoin is doing because Bitcoin controls the health of the market, whether you like it or not. Now, whether you like it or not, it doesn't really matter, right? Bitcoin controls the health of the market. So we look at sort of the structure for Ethereum from 2016. We take notes. We say, all right, we've seen this type of stuff before. Where is ADA? It's right here at the bull market support band. So what are we looking for a decision time soon? What are we looking for? Well, I can tell you what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for potentially is another few weeks of this, right? Where ADA is around 120 plus or minus 20 cents or so. So maybe $1, maybe $1.40, something like that. A few more weeks. And if we are to emulate Ether, all these years later, right? 6 years later, if we're going to emulate it, it would mean that we need to go back up to the top of the range, in a couple months, right? A month and a half or something. Okay. Really, you could argue. I mean, the bottom here was in December. So January, February, and then it took 3 months to get back up to the top of the range. So for ADA, just to give you an idea, I mean, if you take the wick, I suppose that'd be late February. But if you want to be a little bit more conservative, you could say it's March. Let's just say either late February. I mean, if it's late February, it means getting back up to the top of the range by late May. If you want to take it as March, it means getting up there by say mid-June. Okay, so we could say mid-June to be a little bit more conservative. In terms of following ETH. All right. One of the things I said before is that I thought that ADA would sort of see some type of breakout or momentum shift by late March. Okay. Now, it clearly hasn't followed that exactly. I mean, at least this move started in late March, but it remains to be seen if it's actually going to lead us to a new all-time high or not. What we're looking for, with the idea that this is decision time. The point is Ethereum had the same market structure where it was just sort of ping-ponging all over the place, right? And ultimately, we came back up to the bull market support band approximately 1 year later after getting up to this range. 1 year later, consolidated around it for about a month to a month and a half, and then we broke out, right? ADA is looking very similar, right? We came up to this range we're sitting here about 1 year later, I mean, it's a very similar market structure. So then the question is, what's going to happen when decision time comes? Okay, so I sort of see my job as not telling you exactly what's going to happen because, again, I don't know what's going to happen in the short term. But the point is the risks involved. As far as I can see, the same risk stands today as it did for Ethereum back over here in March of 2017. If you go look at March of 2017 for Bitcoin and see what Bitcoin was doing, we held the bull market support band. Okay, so keep that in mind. Bitcoin held it as support. Ethereum, March of 2017, that's when Ethereum broke out against the US dollar, right? I mean, look at this. I mean, this is late February. March 2017 is the following week, we really saw a breakout to a new high. Because you can see this one didn't even break the prior all-time high. The following one after that did. Okay, so the point is March of 2017 is when Bitcoin held the line. Now we're looking at ADA and we're wondering, is it going to get rejected here? Or will Bitcoin hold the line again in 2022 and ultimately send us into a lengthened cycle that we've been talking about since 2019, right? So if Bitcoin holds the line here, then the odds go up a lot that ADA is mimicking what Ethereum's doing. The problem is, of course, as always, there's no free lunch, right? There is no free lunch in this market. You are taking a risk if you buy anything. Okay, so the main risk that you're taking on an ADA position is that if Bitcoin fails to hold this and it comes back down here, then ADA will likely deviate from what Ethereum did back in 2016 and it'll probably get rejected. If, on the other hand, lengthening cycles for Bitcoin does play out, right? If it does play out and Bitcoin holds the line at the 20-week SMA, which is what it did in March of 2017, okay? If it does that, then I would say it's more likely that ADA would continue mimicking Ethereum from 2016, 2017. Now, one thing to consider. The market capitalization of Ethereum back in 2016 was a lot less than ADA's current market capitalization today. So whatever Ethereum did following the year-long reaccumulation range is probably not what ADA is going to do. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, it's probably not. It's just market capitalization. It's just diminishing returns. It's just the fundamental law of nature that you're going to see some type of diminishing returns. So you need to consider that. But we've been following this for a long time, right? It's been about a year since we've been following this year-long theoretical reaccumulation range for ADA. It's lasted about a year. We find ourselves approximately 1 year later. Okay, it's April 4th of 2022. We know Bitcoin hit its all-time high in April of 2021. I mean, it did go put in a new all-time high later. Now the question is, are we going to see ADA mimic what Ethereum did in terms of qualitatively, not necessarily quantitatively, but qualitatively, are we going to see it mimic what Ethereum did, spend the next few weeks consolidating around 120 to ultimately see it break out back up to the upside, to the top of the range, let's say by mid-June, or maybe a little bit earlier, maybe late May, depending on whether you take it from the wick or from the bounce? Or will Bitcoin fall below the bull market support band and send ADA back to the bottom of the range? Okay, so you know the risk you're taking on right now, right? I would say the main risk is Bitcoin failing to hold the bull market support band. If it holds and ADA continues to hold the bull market support band at 120 for a few more weeks, I feel like the likelihood is a lot higher that we're just completing the year-long reaccumulation phase, just like Ethereum did once upon a time in 2016. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. If you want to stake your ADA and earn rewards, which I don't know why you wouldn't, go do so with the ITC stake pool. You can earn rewards on your ADA. And remember, we do have the premium list sale at intothecryptoverse.com. We have 3 weekly videos each week, a report, a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room, a risk dashboard, and more. A whole lot of stuff. Make sure you check it out. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.